Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Yarn Giraffe podcast. My name is Katie and I am the Yarn Giraffe. I'm coming to you from Akron, Ohio, and if you don't know about this podcast, this is a knit and crochet garment focused podcast, and I'll share some tidbits of other little crafty things that I'm doing along the way as well. So let's start today with my finished object. I just finished this top that I am currently wearing. I actually finished it at the beginning of May, I think, and it took me a little bit to come back to it and actually do surgery on it. So let me tell you about the top first. This is the Bayside Shirt by Brianna Lupino. This is a top-down pattern. You start with the sleeves and then you make all 4 sleeves, then you cast on the body and connect the sleeves and work all the way down. There is bust decreases, there are a few decreases on the side, and it is worked in a DK weight. I used a 3.5 millimeter hook. The yarn is Nomad Yarn's Votive DK base, and I did hand dye this yarn myself. I was just having a little bit of fun and I speckled a bunch of blue on here. Blue is my favorite color. And I finished this May 9th and I just used under 2 skeins of yarn to complete this. I do recommend this pattern. It was very easy to work up and follow, pretty quick to work up as well, as long as I stayed focused on it. I did start this January 19th and I finished it May 9th, so it took me quite a long time to finish this, but a huge reason for that is I hurt my wrists when I was working on this top. I was just knitting too tight and I did not give myself any breaks, and I actually had injured myself the month previous, so this was in February that I hurt myself, and in January I had actually hurt myself, but it only lasted for like a day and I was fine and I didn't learn my lesson. And then in February I just didn't listen to my body's signals and I kept working even though it was really tense and my hands were cramping up, and I was just like, I just want to knit, come on, like, you know. So I was getting kind of frustrated with myself and I ended up hurting my wrists and I couldn't crochet or knit for about 2 months until I could actually start getting back into a normal rhythm with it. I just had to keep taking a lot of frequent breaks in between, and it was really frustrating. It was actually really hard on my mental health. So me and this top have been through it. But we have made it to the end of the tunnel, and I actually did go back and do the surgery on the sleeves. So let me tell you about that. The sleeves were too long. If you watched my first podcast episode, I did talk about that. I needed to go back and do surgery on them. I wasn't very sure how I was going to do that since the sleeves are cast on here and then knit this way. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to go backwards with the knitting, if you know what I'm saying, because they were worked in this direction. So I was basically having to I picked up the 4th round or row that I had worked. So I was going to pull out 3 rows on each side. So I pulled out 6 rows total, which ended up being about 3/4 of an inch. And then I had to pick out every single stitch. So it actually took a lot longer than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a little easier, but it makes sense because it's because of what it is. So I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. So I had to pick out every single row up to that point, and then I actually was able to cut off the rows on the other side and then just use like the, you know, one side that I picked all of the yarn out of. I used that long tail to then do a 3 needle bind off and bind off these 2 sleeves back together, and it actually made this wearable, because before it was just too low. The sleeves were just too long. I apologize, the sun is in my face right now, but yes, hello sun. So yeah, this top is actually much more wearable now. I am noticing that the sleeves are still a little slidey, a little loose, so I may have to go back again and take out some more rows so that the sleeves are tighter. But this whole thing is worked in 1x1 rib, and it is just so stinking cute. I really love the whole construction. The one thing I do wish I did was bust short rows, because I think that would have made the top longer in the front, because you can kind of see, I keep pulling it down so it doesn't look, but yeah, when it relaxes, you can see that the back is way longer than the front, but I know for next time that I would just do busty creases. I'm going to keep that in mind in the future with any other patterns that kind of have that kind of similar construction. So yeah, and then the cast off, I actually did a sewn bind off, which I believe is like a tubular bind off. It is very, very stretchy. I wish I would have done it a little bit tighter, but I'd rather it be stretchy than tight. So not a big deal. Overall, I'm very happy with this pattern. I'm definitely going to be wearing this for the summer. I'm excited for it. I'm wearing it with a cardigan right now because it's just a little chilly in here, even though it is super humid outside and it's 80 degrees. It is wild. Wild spring and summer weather is mixing here in Ohio. But in the house here, I'm a little under the AC, so I need that extra little layer of warmth today. So I think that's about all I need to tell you about this top. I'm so happy to be done with it. Like I said, I might go back and shorten the sleeves a little bit. If I, over time with wear, it might stretch the sleeves a little bit more even. So we'll see. I might just have to shorten them again, which wouldn't be too much of a big deal. I'd rather do that than redo the whole piece. It's still wearable. And if anything, if the sleeves are sliding down too much, if I'm wearing it without a cardigan, then I can always just pull on a cardigan and it should help kind of keep everything in place, I think. So on to the next finished object. I am going to show you this top. I showed you guys this last episode, and it is the Viscountess V-neck summer top. Let me get the information up for you guys. I crocheted this in the size small, and I used a 3.5 and a 4mm hook, 4mm for the body, of course, and 3.5 for the ribbing. And it is just so darling, so beautiful. Look at the sun coming in on it. It's so dreamy and cute. This is made up in Paintbox Yarn's Cotton 4-ply, which is a fingering weight cotton yarn. It is in the mint green colorway. Beautiful color, as you can see. I absolutely love this green. Highly recommend the yarn. It is very affordable and very nice for garments. It's not stiff at all. Very easy to work with. The modifications that I have done to this pattern pretty much is just a couple of things. I did this beautiful scalloped edging on the collar as well as the sleeves, and I have in my Ravelry project page for this pattern, for this project, I have the details of how I did this. It's super simple. To be honest, I don't know what the stitch count you're gonna need to do this with is, but I'm just kind of a winging it person, so I just winged it the whole way around, and I was like, well, let's see if the scallops line up. And they actually did. I was off by 2 stitches, I believe, on the sleeves, and I think I was off by just 1 stitch on the collar, which was really awesome. And I just make it work. I just decrease a stitch or I just slip over to the other stitch, and it's really not noticeable at all. It looks very seamless. I think I ended it on this side, yes. Yeah, there we go. You can see a little bit of a slope there. But yeah, not noticeable at all, really. I mean, when I'm wearing this, who's gonna notice that? No, nobody. Not even me. Wow, the lighting is so cute and dreamy right now. I am so happy about this. I'm actually re-recording this episode because the first one I did was all over the place. It was my practice episode. So that was a rough draft episode, and this one's like the final draft, I guess. So yeah, there's the scalloped edging, absolutely adorable. I love the way that turned out. And then I did knit ribbing. I had fun with it, and I just did knit ribbing on the back, and I followed the pattern and did crochet ribbing on the front. And I will also just tell you guys a little secret. I messed up the ribbing on the front of this, the crocheted ribbing. You cannot probably very well tell, I don't know, maybe. But I missed a couple stitches in some place around here. You start with like, you know, I think I started with like 10, and then at the other side of this, I ended with like 8 long, you know, it was like 10 long single crochets over here, and then it was like 8 on the other side. But it was not noticeable at all, and I was not about to go back and redo it, so I just continued along with my pattern and just cast it on the knit ribbing with, I think, 3.5 millimeter needles. Yes, 3 or 3.5 millimeter needles, whatever was just looking to be matching the gauge of the rest of the top. So you can barely like notice, really. You're not even really gonna notice. Like if I'm wearing this, nobody's really gonna notice. I can go ahead and throw it on for you guys though, so you can see what it looks like on and in motion. And I will have all links to these pattern, the project pages for my Ravelry down below, and then you can access the pattern. You can click on the links to the pattern through the project page. Everything's linked in there to get to each pattern. So here is the top. It is very cute. The one thing that I did not really think too much about was what I was going to wear underneath of this. Now, obviously I won't be wearing this knit top underneath of it. I mean, it could work, definitely. But the V-neck unexpectedly is like quite open and a little deep. So not complaining about that at all. I love a V-neck, but a lot of my tops kind of are actually at the length that this is, the knit top underneath. And so you could see the top underneath through the V-neck, and I'm like, you know, it would be really convenient if I had. So I do have a tank top, a black tank top that surprisingly kind of works with this top that has like a deeper V, so it doesn't show, but you could definitely see the black underneath when I wear it. But I was wearing it at the time with some black shorts, and it kind of went together. Either that, or if I wear it with like jeans, I think that would be really cute. And then like you can like tuck it up underneath, like if you have like a high-waisted jean on or something. Very cute. And yeah, you can see that the scalloped edging came out very lovely. I'm very happy with the way that that came out. And actually I might just keep this on the rest of the podcast. Why not? I'm actually getting kind of hot talking, so I don't need this cardigan now. Awesome. What else can I tell you about this top? I started it March 19th and I finished it May 27th. Again, it took me a little longer to finish this just because I had to take a lot of breaks in between. Plus I was just kind of feeling a lot of, you know, unmotivated feelings and dealing with a lot of mental health stuff, which I will actually talk to you about a little later with a very special new cast on project that I'm excited to share with you guys. So let us go ahead and move on. I think that's all I really need to say about this top. I highly recommend the pattern. MJ's patterns are super easy, super fast, one-piece construction, I think, pretty much all the time, most of the time at least. I have followed a lot of her patterns and I have loved every single one. They turn out beautiful every single time and they are super easy to make, and she always has a YouTube video for extra kind of visual guidance, and she has all of these patterns free on her blog as well, which is just a wonderful thing to offer. So let us move on to the last finished object, which is actually not even a garment. It is a plushie. If you don't know, I crochet a lot of plushies. I haven't recently, but I have a crochet plushie business, which is the first business that I ventured out on and started doing, was just selling plushies. And then I started making garments and I got obsessed with that too. So that takes up a lot of my time now. Hence the podcast. So here is the giraffe, tipsy, or no, not, he's not drunk. Tippy the Giraffe by The Wonder Crochet. Fabulous pattern, fantastic pattern. She writes fantastic plushy patterns. I cannot recommend her patterns enough. I absolutely love this giraffe. I mean, look at how adorable he is. He is just the cutest. The only thing that I have not finished on this is doing the mane. You just crochet on, I think it was just like bobble stitches in the brown color on his, the back of his head and kind of just down the body a little bit. This is the second giraffe I have made of the pattern. I made the first one and I could not part with him. He's so cute. I mean, just look at how cute his face is. If you don't know me, and my name and everything, I love giraffes. It's always been my favorite animal. And so I couldn't resist keeping the first one. It's going to be hard to sell this second one, but I'm going to try to push myself to sell him because he's just so stinking cute. I need to share him with other people. So I have to part with something. I have to part with some things. Okay. So about the pattern, just quickly, if you are interested, this is pretty much all no sew. Amazing, right? That is just absolutely amazing. The only thing you sew on is the head. All right. The hardest thing I would say to do with the pattern, besides sewing on the head, if you're not very comfortable with that, is doing the spots. It's just a lot of color changing, so you kind of have to focus on what you're doing a little bit. But once you start a spot, you're like, oh, okay, I have to just keep working in this spot, and make sure you don't work it for too many rounds and whatnot. And every one of her patterns are laid out perfectly. I have had no complaints about any of her stuff. She is a wonderful pattern designer. And on the subject of plushies, moving on from this cutie pie, I have my first sort of whip, although I'm not really counting it as 100% a whip because I'm just working on it as I want to. But aren't all whips like that? So this is actually the same designer. I'm actually making another one of these sunflower pillows. I have actually made quite a few of these, probably like 15 or so far, and they sell very well. If you make plushies or are interested in making plushies, highly recommend this pattern. This is her no-sew sunflower pattern by the same designer, The Wonder Crochet. She has this for free on her blog. Fabulous, fabulous. It is a perfect pattern. You literally just make 10 these petals, super easy to make, and then you stuff them and you make the middle and then you crochet all of them on. It's no sew. How amazing is that? And look how perfect and adorable this comes out. It is a little small when you work it up in, this is a Parfait Chunky, which is what the giraffe is also made up of. It's pretty much the same colors actually. Yeah, that's like pretty much exactly the same colors except for the light brown. But yes, you just make 10 petals, which I have made all 10, and now I just have to stuff them and then make the middle, and it is complete. And then I'm going to sell it on my Etsy shop. I think that's really all I have to say about that. Moving on from the plushies, those are all the plushies I have. We're going on to our whips. So first I will show you, I only have really 2 whips to show you. The first one that I will show you is one that I showed last podcast that I was not motivated at all to work on, but I surprisingly was so excited to work on after I talked about it to you guys. I think it was like the expectation that next podcast I want to have like more progress done on something, and it wasn't even like pressure to do it, it was motivation. Like I felt really excited to do it, and that's what's really making me so happy and proud of myself for doing this podcast finally, because I've been wanting to do it for a while and I have still doubtful feelings like, oh, should I be doing this? Who's really going to be watching? People may not be watching, at least very many people may not be watching this podcast in the beginning, but hopefully as I consistently show up and keep making these videos, I'll kind of find my rhythm, find my groove, and hopefully find my people as well. Hopefully lots of people can enjoy, you know, at least some people, someone can enjoy watching and sharing in the joy of creating these pieces. And we can inspire each other along the way. I would absolutely love that. So this pattern is the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Made Designs. Absolutely love this pattern. I've already made this pattern into a sweater, and this pattern was actually the first time I was working with DK weight, which was last February, last year. I learned tubular cast on and bind off. I'll count that as a third one. I learned German short rows. I learned lifted increases. I have learned so much with this pattern. I am very happy about it. And obviously I'm making it again, so obviously I love it. I have made a few of Jessie Made's designs, patterns, and I highly recommend her as a designer. So this top, let's talk about it. This top I started April 8th. This is worked in the body at least is worked in a 4mm hook. The yarn, this lovely, lovely, silky, soft, beautiful yarn is Lamia Bamboo in the color cream. I got this from Hobium Yarns, which I believe is based in Denmark, and it was a pretty affordable price, I would say, as well. These are 50-gram balls each. Here's a little ball I've got. I think I'm on the second ball so far. Look how much I have worked. It's pretty cool. It is also worked in a DK weight. Did I say that? I think so. So the last time I showed you guys this pattern, I was probably like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle here. I think I've probably worked like half of this or so. You can see more progress on the back here. It looks a lot bigger on the back there because of the German short rows and all that. But I actually got quite a bit of progress done on this, and I actually got to work on this at the pool the other day on a beautiful sunny 80-degree day. It was so dreamy. It was such a dream. Oh my gosh. To work on a summer project by the pool on a summer day. I was so happy. It was so lovely, and I got so much work done because I was focused. I was sitting down and I was focused on my project, and it was just so lovely. I would love to do that again. I will definitely do that again. It's supposed to rain the next like 4 days here, so maybe not soon. But this has been a really great project to just take on the go with me, since it's mostly just stockinette, and every other round you're just doing your lifted increases. And you do a bunch of those, and eventually I will get to the split for the sleeves. And I'm super excited to split for the sleeves so that I can just, you know, be in the home stretch and get this top done. So yeah, I'm very excited to work on this top now, which is a huge shift from last podcast, which was almost 2 weeks ago. And yeah, it's all because of the podcast. So thank you guys for being here and watching this and supporting that. I don't think I have anything else to really tell you about this pattern. I still have quite a few increases to go, but I'll get there. I'll get there. I am almost there. All right, the last whip, the last thing I will talk to you guys about is very exciting and very meaningful to me, so I'm very excited to share it with you. I might even make a separate video on this just because I think it could help out a lot of people. So last week I was going to use this same yarn for the Cumulus Tee by Petite Knit. And this yarn is from Expression Fiber Arts. It is the Crema Sock base. Absolutely beautiful, lovely base. It is, I think, 30% silk and 70% merino. Yes, it is. And I only have 2 skeins of it. So these are 350 yards per skein, so I have 700 yards total. And the Cumulus Tee, you need like 1,100 or 1,200 yards for like the smallest size. So I definitely did not have enough. And I did not really realize that I needed more than 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn to make a top. But a huge part of that is the gauge is very tight, and the yarn has less yardage than a typical fingering weight yarn as well. So I would have still needed another skein or two of yarn, of this yarn to make it, but yeah. So those are the considerations. So I definitely still want to make that top. It is going to be a different yarn and a different time when I have more yarn, more fingering weight yarn to make the top. So I took this yarn because it's so beautiful. And I have this other top that I've been dying to make. And it is the Umbria Summer Top by Cookie the Knitter. Absolutely beautiful cardigan style button up kind of polo shirt. And I'll probably insert like a screenshot here so that you can see what that looks like. It's so cute. I started knitting this on June 3rd, which was 3 or 4 days ago. And I, every day, every stitch, have been reciting affirmations. So I'm calling this my Affirmations Summer Top. And I got this idea from Expression Fiber Arts herself, Shandy. She had made a video with like tips for knitting in general. I think I'll link it down below if I can find it, which I'm sure I can. And I think the last tip was this. It was to journal with your project. It was the journal affirmations with your project, recite the affirmation as you're working your project. And I just found that so beautiful and meaningful, and I was just so excited and inspired to do that. So I'm doing it. And instinctually, I did not want to do that. But I know it's going to benefit me so much. I have been meaning to journal every single day. I want to journal every morning and night, right? Ideally, that's what I would want to do. But going from never journaling in my life to trying to make that a routine, to doing it every day, twice a day, quite a high expectation. Okay, so to incorporate it even more into my life, because I do it occasionally, I do it as much as I can, as I think about it, but it's definitely not as much of a routine. Now this project, I'm even more excited to work on it because of this. So I'm keeping a journal, and I hope I'm not all over the place here, but I'm keeping a journal currently of, I'm just simply writing every single day what I am reciting to myself. So the first day was, I am confident, I am capable. And I just switched between those two affirmations every single stitch. And that actually works for a couple of reasons here. It works in unexpectedly, like, oops, recipes for donut day, get out of here. I am paying attention more to what I'm doing, and I actually have to do that, because when I was even making the gauge swatch for this, I was like losing track of when I did certain stitches. So this is worked in garter rib, and it is like one round you knit, and then the other one you do knit 2, purl 2, and that's the pattern. So I kept forgetting when I did a knit 2, when I did a purl 2, sometimes I knit 1, then purl 1, and then knit 2, and then I was like, you know, the pattern was off and all that stuff. Doing 2 affirmations for like the 2 stitch repeat is so helpful to keep track of what stitches I'm on, and it keeps me focused on which stitches I have worked so far. It keeps me paying attention to what I have already done, like I knit 2 and then I purl 2, you know what I'm saying? So I just do like every column of stitches. I am confident, I am capable. I am confident, I am capable. And when I recite it in the same, like I do I am confident first, I know that that's the first stitch of the 2 stitch repeat. But I've been struggling with like focusing on my projects and focusing on the patterns. And I'm going to take this off now because I'm getting quite hot. But yeah, I've been kind of struggling with focusing on my projects for long term. Like I don't want to sit down and work on a project for like 30 minutes. You know, I work on it and then I think of something in my head and then I'm like, oh, I have to take care of that. And then I go and do something. So that's part of why it's taken me so long to work on my projects and finish them recently, I think. That's what I've kind of observed anyway. And I'm really excited about this because, like I said, it's keeping me motivated to keep working on it. Like I wanna tell myself these wonderful things. I wanna build up my confidence, my self-esteem. I want to create a better life for myself, and that's going to start in my head and spread everywhere else. So, yes, I've been wanting to journal in general a lot more, right? This, to me, is the answer. It's combining something I is going to benefit me overall with something that I absolutely love doing, and I want to spend more time doing the things that I love and that light me up. It's perfect. So, if you are interested in doing this, it's super simple. Just start with a project, start in the middle of a project, and just try it out. I found that working 2 different affirmations, I just pick 2 for the day, and then every time I pick up the project, I just recite those 2 affirmations. Super simple, doesn't need to be complicated. I did 1 affirmation on June 4th, and it was a little too boring for me. You may love doing 1. Personally, I've found it just doesn't really work for me. So I think 2 is the sweet spot. I did try 3 yesterday. It was a little confusing just because of the stitch repeat for me, since my stitch repeat is 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. I was doing I am brave, I am beautiful, knit 2, and then the purl one was I am radiant, and then I would restart. So I didn't know exactly where I was. It was just harder to keep track of. So depending on your stitch repeat and all that stuff, you may want to consider that and try some different things out. And if something doesn't work, give yourself grace, because it's all part of the process. Mistakes, finding out things that don't work, finding out things that do work, it's all part of the process. That's how you get to where you want to be. So I'm reminding myself of that daily, and this project has really helped me. And yeah, I've worked a good amount. I've worked a really good amount. Here I am. And it's a little confusing, I know. It looks pretty chaotic. So let me actually talk about the project now that I have dumped all of this exciting information on you guys. I started this on June 3rd, like I said. I told you the yarn. I'm working this in 3.5 millimeter hook for the body. And then if you see this extra set of needles here, this is 3 millimeter needles that I am using to work the button band. The button band is worked continuously with the entire top. And learning from other people that have worked this pattern, a lot of people mentioned that the button band needed to be reinforced. It was too loose because it was being worked with the same needles as the body needles, and the neck portion of the ribbing is worked in smaller needles, right? It's worked in a 3 millimeter. So someone suggested doing DPNs in a smaller, like the 3 millimeter that you used for the neck ribbing. Use DPNs to do that, which would be much more manageable. But I don't have DPNs, so I'm just using what I used for the neck ribbing, which is just dangling off my project. I might find a better solution eventually, but for now, this is just kind of what I'm dealing with until I get to that point. I am still doing my German short rows, so I'm just going back and forth, and I'm not even working the button band yet. But yeah, so that is that. All of these stitch markers are just where the raglan is made and where the increases are made around. You do lifted increases, which is fun. I'm already doing that for another project that I am working on currently, so I already know how to do those. And yeah, this has just been pretty fun overall so far, and especially with the crazy intention that I am putting into it. I am just so super excited, and I'm just so super excited to work on it because I know, for one, I'm doing things that benefit me. I'm working on my projects that I absolutely love working on, and I am, in the end of this project, I am going to have a top that is so super intentional, and it's going to just mean so much to me. I'm going to literally be able to wrap myself in love for myself, and I don't think I can say I've really done that before. So, I mean, I've made projects for myself for sure, and I've made them out of love, of course. But I feel like this is just a different, it's just different, you know? It's me believing in myself. And I think that's really what I'm getting at. I can literally wrap myself in my belief for myself. I'll find a better way to say that. But yeah, I also wrote down, like, I'm gonna try journaling with this too. I'm just gonna add that in. Like, I'm writing down the affirmations, and then yesterday I wrote down just something that I've been observing actually, is seeing more beauty in myself is actually allowing me to see more beauty in other people and other things. I have been in such awe of nature, for example, and how beautiful it is, and how beautiful everything just works in harmony. And I have also been able to look at other people and just appreciate, like, I have felt like a deep, peaceful appreciation for other people's natural beauty, just as they are. And I just feel so good. I feel wonderful. I feel like I am, having more love for myself and giving, pouring more into my cup is actually allowing me to pour into more people's cups and to spread that love to other people as well. And I've also been like learning about, the kind of things that you feel ripple out. I mean, you may think, oh, I feel this way and it's only affecting me, but in reality, it's rippling outwards in ways that you don't even know. And that has been a huge realization for me personally recently. Within the past few years, I've been kind of working up to that realization, and now I feel like I am at a point where I'm accepting that and I want to do something about it, And the past few years, I've been going through a lot of like past traumas and healing those and processing things and making things out to be what I want them to mean, instead of what I always negatively thought that they meant for my life. I'm turning them into something positive now, and I'm really proud of myself for that. So if you are interested in doing any sort of, work on yourself, I highly recommend doing affirmations, I statements, and present tense statements. Like I said, I'm thinking of doing a video on this top, and I don't know that I'm going to film it throughout the process, but I think after like a few weeks of information that I'm gathering for myself here, I'm going to be able to like make a video and share this, because I think this needs to be shared with more people. I think this needs to be something that more people know about and practice, because I think it could very much benefit all of us to do this. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. Let me know if you are interested in that, if you have any ideas for it. I'm already noticing a lot of benefits so far, and I'm kind of thinking about tips as well that I could mention in that video that I want to create for it as well. Like how to do an affirmation, and part of that too, I will say too, is feeling the affirmation, like, I am brave. When is a time that you felt brave? When is a time that you have done something that you didn't think you would? Think about that, feel it. Feel the power in that and hold on to it, you know what I mean? Like, visualize it. Because you did do it. You are brave. We all have done things that are brave in our lives. We've all done things that are scary. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm really pumped up about this topic, if you cannot tell. I'm very excited to work on it, and I'm very excited to keep feeding my brain these beautiful words about myself, and I hope you do as well. I hope you practice that as well. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm so excited that you are here. I'm so excited to keep making these. They are bi-weekly right now, but I would love to get to a point where I can do them weekly. As I, consistently do these, I think that will definitely be a goal of mine in the future. So thank you guys again for watching. Let me know what you are working on for summer, if you're finishing up stuff for spring. All right, I will see you guys in a few weeks. And until then, happy making. Bye.